Hey guys, what's up? So on this one, we're going to be covering the Dominion Guild boss for P5X Global version 2.2. Welcome back. It's been a little bit of a layoff. There just wasn't a lot going on towards the end of 2.1, so I didn't really have any videos to make. But we are back with Dominion here, and the team we're going to be running is Wonder 1, Leon 2, Moko 3, and Joker 4 with Wind as our Navi. And then Wonder is going to be running Ex Machina with Alice, Komokuten, and Ame no Uzume. So a few things just off the top. If you don't have Moko, if you didn't pull Moko, I don't think it's really a big deal. I don't really even think she's like incredibly necessary on either side this week, but I have her, so I'm going to use her. But if you don't have her, I don't think you're like losing out on a ton. I think she'll kind of see her best days when Haru comes out, and we're still a little bit ways away from that. So again, I think she's probably one of the more skippable units we've had so far, honestly, unless you're kind of like going all in on Haru, and even in which case, Bear has a nice video that you can go back and watch from maybe a week or two ago about kind of Haru and her relationship with Summer Tomoko, or Seaside Tomoko, whatever they call her on Global, and kind of how that works together. So if you're kind of not sure if you want to pull her, I would maybe go check out Bear's video on that. But I don't think she's like incredibly necessary either way, as I get kicked from the server. But yeah, if you don't have Tomoko, I think you're good slotting in kind of any other support unit here. And then I went with Leon here over Rin because Moko was cannibalizing a lot of Rin's Spider Lilies. And I think Leon probably just better anyway for this. And then I'm using Wind here, and I'm using Phoebe on the other side. I think Wind is probably better here regardless, because I think Okeon maybe fits in. I mean, Wind is probably the best option on both sides if you don't have Phoebe, but I do think Okeon is like a better fill-in on the other side. Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's like most of my spiel here. So we'll move kind of into personas. So a couple of things here with Alice. Obviously, we're using Ex Machina, so you're going to want to start with Alice in the first slot, and we'll be using Die For Me. I have Rebellion on Alice because I think I've mentioned this before, but when Alice is active, like Wonder's active persona, she increases foes' curse damage taken by 18%. So the more things I can have on her so that she doesn't have to come out of the fight, the better, because then I'll always be proccing this 18% damage taken up. It's not the end of the world if you don't have Rebellion on her. If you have it on Komokuten or whatever, I'm using Dionysus on the other side. I've opted to kind of make this my B side, which is why I'm using Komokuten. My Komokuten also has Rebellion, but if you don't have Rebellion on either, I think you could probably get away with using Revolution on Komokuten. Part of the reason Komokuten's being brought, especially for me, because I do have Rebellion on Alice, kind of rendering Komokuten useless here for me, is because of his highlight. We are going to be using his highlight, which is the 29 point whatever damage up. And then I'm going to be bringing Ame. I know this is like not a new strategy, but I don't know if I've done it with the Joker team yet, but a lot of other people have, and I think this week it just ends up being the best I've done. Not a huge boost, but her passive, when a foe is shocked, increased party's crit rate by 10%, and Electric Dance is a 100% chance to inflict shock. So a lot of our focus in this fight is going to be, you know, Die For Me mixed with Rebellion, mixed with this, and then, you know, highlights thrown in here and there to give additional damage where we can. As for the units, my Joker is running Departure and Hindrance. Leon is running Trust and Prosperity. My Moko is running Harmony and Victory. I wasn't sure what card set to use on her, to be honest. Lufelnet kind of lists this as the best in slot card set that we have available on Global right now. And I get why. It's because like the gear set, the Harmony and Victory bonus, is kind of dependent on you proccing just the 4-piece Victory set bonus. But if you don't really have these cards, I haven't farmed these. I farmed stuff for Fleuret a while ago, so I had some of these left over. I think Trust and Prosperity works fine on her, if that's kind of where you've gone with this. And then my Wind is running Resolve and Labor. And as always, I have a 6 Wind, and I lost the 50-50 for Moko's weapon, so I have her 5-star now. So as always, if you don't have an A6 Wind, or you don't have the 5-star, your skill usage frequency of Wind might be a little bit slower than mine. But if you go S1, S3, you know, for the most part, you should be fine with her, you know, off your cooldowns. And then one last quick note here is if you wanted to try Chord instead of Leon, I think you probably could. I feel weird because this week I'm not using Chord in either of my teams, and it feels wrong. But at least for me personally, my Chord is going after my Joker because my Chord is slow. I'm doing less than this team, but it is close, so I do wonder if you had a much better kind of set of cards on Chord and Joker, if that would end up being better. But for all intents and purposes here, I just went with Leon. But if you were wondering why I'm not using her, that's kind of part of my reasoning. So, but yeah, I think that covers everything I wanted to say, so I will see you on the other side here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Rebellion on Joker. And then we'll go ahead and use Justice Barrier on Joker. Leon's basically just S2, S3 on cooldown. And Moko is kind of the same. She's S2, S3 on cooldown, basically. We'll start off by, we'll target Joker, because she does give buffs on her main target. Then with Joker, we'll go ahead and use Trickster's Plunder. Now, if you don't proc the extra turn on this first turn, it's not the biggest deal in the world because you're losing half your score anyway. But I would try and make sure that beyond this turn, you are proccing it, every turn. And if that means you have to use additional S1s on your follow-ups instead of Arson's Chains, I think that's probably okay. The most important thing is that Joker's doing the follow-ups. So, because, an S1 with an S1 as the follow-up does more damage than just a single S1 or a single S3. So, just keep that in mind. But I'll go ahead and use Arson's Chains because I'm pretty confident that I'll be proccing the follow-up every turn. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swap to Komakuten. I went back and forth on if I wanted to use Alice's highlight here or Komakuten's highlight here. And then on turn 5, we'll use kind of whichever one we didn't use here then. I'm going to go with Komakuten here because I think you do get, the 2x score from Alice attacking. I didn't really notice a difference. I've done it both ways and my score was identical either way. So I think whichever one maybe feels better to you, go ahead and do. But it doesn't make much of a difference because if Wonder's going first, you'll be able to use it and swap regardless. So it doesn't really, hinder you doing anything else. So, but now I'm going to swap to Ame and use Electric Dance on this one electric weak guy. Applies Shock and we all get the crit rate up. Leon's going to go ahead and use Ultima Booster on Joker. Moko is now go ahead and use, she'll use skill 3. And now Wind is up again. So I'll go ahead and use skill 3. You can use it on anybody. Doesn't matter who the main target is. It just heals. Like the buffs all go on everybody anyway. And then Joker, I'll go ahead and use skill 1. And then I'll go ahead and use Arson's Chains. And now Wonder is back up, so now we'll go ahead and swap to Alice, and we'll use Die For Me. And now highlights are back up, but I'm actually going to wait one turn because we're actually going to end up... At one point, we're going to be waiting to use a highlight, so we have like a 1 or 2 turn buffer. So I'm going to go ahead and use Leon's skill just to give Joker the extra crit up and the power of friendship stacks. And then I'll go ahead and use his highlight here. Actually, we'll go ahead and use Wind first. We'll reapply the defense down with Wind. You should check. Make sure you check before you use Wind's thing. Like, if they have the defense down, then obviously you would have gone ahead and used skill 3 there. But now we'll go ahead and use Joker's highlight. It feels late to use it, but because Joker's going twice basically every turn, he ends up getting his highlight back, like, much faster than like, a normal unit would. So that's why we can kind of go ahead and use this, as late as we are on turn 3 here. And then we'll go back to Moko's S2. And now we can go ahead and use Arson's Chains because we already have the 3 stacks. But if you didn't have 3 stacks, you had 2 or whatever, go ahead and use his skill 1 again. And we'll go ahead and use this again. Alright, and now Wonder is going to go ahead and we'll use Rebellion on Joker again, reapply this. And then Wind, because we put the defense down last turn. I know I see the 2 defense down things, but you can go in and check and make sure. We'll go use for skill 3. I'll use it on Wonder just because he's the lowest. Leon, we'll go ahead Ultima Booster. Moko, we will go S3. I don't know if the main target matters on Moko's. I think she, like, randomly applies the thing. But yeah, so now Joker's back up again, so we will go ahead, and we're going to wait until next turn to use Wonder's Highlight. So we get, like, the full 2 turns of whatever he's going to use, which is going to be Alice. So I know I'll proc this again, but if you're not sure, go ahead and use his skill 1 instead. I'm going to use his skill 3, because I know I'll proc it on the 2 angels, getting below the health threshold. And then I'll go ahead and use it again. Again, you should be okay health-wise. Like, if you get really unlucky and they just, like, hard focus someone, like Wonder kind of got lower than he normally has for me in this. You know, just be aware that that's a risk. But, like, I don't know if there's much more you can do here, because Moko really is doing most of her healing. You know, she's kind of always targeting Joker for the buffs, and then her follow-up is what kind of does a lot of the healing. So you should be proccing it somewhat regularly. So I'm not, like, super concerned, because she'll proc it this turn, I imagine. But if you are concerned about it, I think you could maybe consider, you know, changing your main target for 1 turn, like if it's really dire, on Moko's skill 2, on one of her skill 2 times that she, one of her skill 2 actions. But for now, I'm pretty sure the defense buff fell off from Wind, so I'll go ahead and use her skill 1 again. And then we will go ahead and we're on Alice, so we'll go ahead and use the Highlight. And then we will go ahead and swap to Ame, and we will use her skill 1 on the electric weak guy. And then Leon can go ahead and use his skill 2 on Joker. And then we'll go ahead and heal Joker and apply the buffs. This is definitely the lowest I've been, like, across the board, so I don't know if I did something differently. I don't think I did, but anyway, Joker now will go ahead and use his skill 3. Again, if you have to use skill 1 to make sure you proc the 2nd turn, go ahead. Moko should follow up now, and that's where the healing should come in. Cool. Now Wind is up again, so I'll go ahead and use Wind's skill 3. I'll just use it on Wonder, because he's the only guy who's missing any HP, I think. And then I'll go ahead and use Arson's Chains again. Alright, now we will go ahead and swap back to Alice, and we'll use Die For Me for this last turn. Now we can hold the highlights, because we're only going to get 1 highlight regardless of what we do. So I'm going to hold it and just wait till Joker's turn to use it. Moko can go ahead and use skill 3. And then Wind is up again. I think they have the defense down, so we'll go ahead and just use the skill 3 again. I don't think it matters on who, because they're not attacking again. Joker, I'm going to go ahead and use Arson's Chains. And then I'll go ahead and use Joker's Highlight. And then we'll finish it off with Arson's Chains one more time. And 48.2, so around kind of what my best score was. Again, I never feel great about my Joker teams. I don't know why, I just feel like they're not. I feel like I'm always doing something wrong with Joker, but this is kind of the best I could come up with this morning. I don't have as much time the next... Like, during this patch, I won't have as much time to, like, run these as much as I normally would. So I'm kind of trying to, like, as quickly as I can, find something that I think is at least, like, top 5-ish worthy, maybe a little bit worse than top 5, and then put it out just so you guys have, like, a general idea of what to do if you weren't sure. And this is top 4, but yeah, that's kind of what I came up with. I'm sure there's something better. I do wonder if Komakuten on that turn instead of Alice, and I flip them where Alice kind of highlights on turn 2 and then Komakuten on turn 5, just because it is a bigger damage. I do wonder if it averages out to more than the extra 80,000 points that, you know, you end up getting with the Alice attack. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I think you could try it both ways. Like I said, I did try it both ways, and I couldn't tell the difference. But it always feels like, whenever I do it, it always feels like the other one was better. And then when I do the other one, it feels like the other one was better. So it just, I couldn't decide, so I just went with this. But yeah, this is kind of what I came up with. My rambling aside, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this is, you know, somewhat useful. I'll try to get this out as quick as I can. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and thank you for the support as always, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one.